Dun 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 dun. Here's the story of a horseshit VP who likes sniffing up on very little girls. All of them are scared and cold, like their mothers, and that shit makes me hurl. Here's a story of a man named Xi Jinping who is killing little Uyghurs of his own. Women before men, sometimes all together. For that he must atone. Till the one day when old Xi Jinping made a new law. And they knew that it was much more than a hunch. That the news must now distract your families. That's the way we all became the Xi Jinping bunch. The Xi Jinping bunch. The Xi Jinping bunch. That's the way we became the Xi Jinping bunch. Yeah! Planet Hog, baby. The ladies in the background, this is the first time she heard that. The woman and the dog are joining me today. How y'all doing, man? It is good to be back. That was good, huh? You like that? It took me, what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Yeah, so here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and good old China. Well, if you're gay in China, you're going to ride the short bus. Yeah, they call homosexuality a mental disorder. A Chinese court rules. This is a touchy subject. Can you feel that? Oof. So we got to touch it. You know the rules. If it's a touchy subject, then you have to touch it. And that's what we're going to do. So we are on theindependent.co.uk. And the headline reads, homosexuality can be called a mental disorder, rules Chinese court. I do like that this person, I will not try to pronounce their name. I do not recognize that nationality. But suffice it to say, there's a lot of consonants where we don't usually put consonants. Anyway, I do like that they included in a subheadline that China decriminalized homosexuality in 1997. So it's not illegal. Anyway, let's dive on in. A court in China has agreed with a textbook's description of homosexuality as a mental disorder, upholding a ruling by a lower court. The decision of the Sukian Independent People's Court. I love that they do that. They really, maybe that's where the libs get it from, right? They take everything else from China. Maybe that's where they got their framing of things from. The Intermediate People's Court, that court does not belong to the people. Anyhow, in the eastern province of Jiangsu was called, quote, random and baseless by, come on with these names. There's no consonant in this man's name. It's all vowels. Wu Jiang, also known as Gigi. How do you get that from Wu Jiang? All right. I mean, it doesn't translate in English, but I'm sure, the chicken scratches and tic-tac-toe signs that they use for fucking writing, I'm sure it translates, but not in English it doesn't. Okay. Also known as Gigi who had filed the lawsuit. In 2016, Gigi had discovered a psychology textbook that described being gay as a mental disorder during her studies at the South China Agricultural University in Guangzhou, Guangdong Province, reported the South China Morning Post. In 1990, the World Health Organization declassified homosexuality as a mental disorder, following which China followed suit and decriminalized homosexuality in 1997. I don't know if you can say they followed suit if it took them 7 years to do it. But all right. I mean, maybe this article was written in China, so all right. Praise the emperor. 2 years later, in 2001, China removed it from the official list of mental disorders. The textbook, being used by a number of Chinese universities, is the 2013 edition of Mental Health Education for College Students, published by Jinan University Press. It has listed homosexuality under, quote, common psychosexual disorders, along with, end quote, along with cross-dressing and fetishism. Oh, come on. You can't throw guys that like big women in there with that. That's not, God damn it, China. Following this, Gigi, 24, and her friends protested against it in front of the office of the textbook's publisher. They argue that the book is perpetuating the belief that being gay was wrong, and then in 2017 filed a case against the publisher asking it to remove the reference. What does a protest in China look like? I would be, it's like a bunch of people all wearing the same suit, walking in like a synchronized fashion. And they just like, what do you do to protest in China? I mean, you do anything too racy, they'll kill your ass. So how do you protest? Where's that line? They just kind of stand there and obstruct traffic for like a second, and then they all just kind of go home. I don't know. What is a Chinese, I know what a Chinese fire drill is. I don't know what a Chinese protest is. I wonder if a Chinese fire drill, well, anyhow. Dear, do you know what a Chinese protest looks like? Well, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe they make 90 iPhones instead of 100. Is that a Chinese protest? All right. But last year, the Suyu District People's Court in Suqian held that opposing views of Gigi and the publisher were due to differences in opinion instead of being a factual error. As a result, in November 2020, Gigi, who is now a social worker in Hong Kong, appealed against the ruling, which has now, again, not gone in her favor. Her case and subsequent appeal had generated serious support from China's LGBT community. What does that look like? What does China's LGBT community look like? Oh my, I feel like that should be a reality TV show. I mean, you'd have to find somebody that doesn't mind going over there and risk being thrown into prison camp for the rest of their life. But what do those people look? Because here, you can kind of see them and you know what they are. Like, you know who they are. Because they go out of their way to kind of make themselves stand out. Weird colored hair, girls dressing like dudes. You can kind of figure it out. But in China, what does that look like? I mean, I assume everybody dresses the same. It's communist. All right. Anyhow, let's see. That's where we are. Okay. But she's not calling it quits and discussing with legal experts to see if there's any possibility to take the case further. Qiang, an activist for LGBT, something's missing from that. What is missing from that? It seems like that abbreviation is shorter. Oh, yeah, okay. They kept it at the original. Okay, yeah. They didn't do any of the remixes. All right, fair enough. You know what? They say a broken clock, man. Anyway, stated that the textbook's editor has used viewpoints that do not match, quote, society's perception of sexual minorities, end quote, in present times. And there you have it, folks. And there you have it. This is a very interesting distinction that they make. Number one, well, you got to call a spade, right? We don't like to give China good press here. So before I say this, let me just say China sucks. Now, they actually don't ban homosexuality, as a behavior over there. They don't ban it. They're just saying that there's a mental health issue there. Another interesting distinction that I saw in this. Where is it? Oh, was that they said that the people who want it removed are wanting it removed because of their opinion, not because of anything factual that they presented. And I think that's an interesting distinction to make, because if we climb on over to Psychology Today, it's where we are. We are behind enemy lines tonight, folks. We are on psychologytoday.com. As usual, all of the things that I cite and read, they will be down in the description for you to peruse at your leisure. I think it's very interesting because China wasn't the only one who had homosexuality classified as a mental disorder. It was considered a mental disorder here too. And then it was decriminalized. Well, we'll get into that. I think this article will give you a little bit of historical context. If not, I'll come back and fill it in for you. But we are on Psychology Today. The article reads, Setting the Record Straight, Homosexuality and DSM. Oh boy, what is with these names? Thomas, what an asshole to have that as your last name. S-Z-A-S-Z. Saz. I'm going to say Saz. You know what? That's all I can do. Thomas Saz. That's almost like Annie Says. You remember Annie Says, dear? I think that was a female store way back in the day. Okay. No. Thomas Saz was the first psychiatrist to oppose medicalizing homosexuality. Yesterday, the American Psychoanalytic Association, AP little s, little a, capital A. I just wanted to tell you what that abbreviation looked like. That's ridiculous. Issued a formal apology for its past views on homosexuality as a form of mental illness. I am going to be paying attention very carefully to see if, again, we're dealing with someone not liking it or if they disproved it. Because I think that's very important. If we're talking about an issue that was prior listed as mental health, either way, there should be some kind of study or evidence that says, look, this is baseless. But people are pulling it off because they don't like it. And I think that's an important point to observe. So I am actually going to pay very close attention here to see if we find any kind of evidence or study that's cited. This represents the first formal apology on this matter from a national mental health organization in the United States. Homosexuality was classified as a mental disorder in DSM in one form or another until the publication of DSM-3-R in 1987, chaired by psychiatrist Robert Spitzer. The diagnosis was first removed by the APA in 1973 under great external pressure, but a condition called ego-dystonic homosexuality remained in the manual until 1987. Ego-dystonic homosexuality was defined as having a homosexual orientation that is at odds with one's idealized self-image or ego. The psychiatrist-psychoanalyst Charles Socrates, among others, continued to write on the, quote, disease, end quote, of homosexuality long after it was removed from DSM. Still today, some clinicians unethically, and in some cases illegally, practice, quote, conversion therapy, an attempt to change the patient's sexual orientation via psychotherapy or counseling. Quick question. If you can pay a shrink to help affirm the notions in a child's mind that they are a girl when they're actually a boy, why is this illegal? Why? What if the person says, look, I realize I'm gay and I don't want to be anymore. Please help me. Why is that illegal? They have the right to choose, do they not? You comfortable over there? Yeah. All right. They have the right to choose, do they not? Interesting how that works. See, that's why you can't compromise with these people, because they're not compromising with you. Most conservatives' relationships with liberals mirrors our relationship under Joe Biden with China. We give, and China says, okay, I'll just make a knockoff of that, and I'm not going to give you anything. Yeah, keep giving, because you're afraid of me. Hello. So, anyway, let's get back in. While Spitzer, who passed away in 2015, is often credited with the declassification of homosexuality as a mental illness, not illness, as chairman of the DSM-3 task force. Another psychiatrist, Thomas Saz, voiced his disagreement with the medicalization of homosexuality at least 20 years earlier. Saz, an analyst by training, went on to become internationally known for his best-selling 1961 book, The Myth of Mental Illness: Foundations of a Theory of Personal Conduct, and remained a professor of psychiatry at the State University of New York Upstate Medical Center. Did I say psychiatry? That word is psychiatry. He remained a professor of psychiatry at the State University of New York Upstate Medical Center until his death in 2012. Saz's first remarks specific to homosexuality appeared to have been made in 1965 in a chapter in a book edited by psychiatrist Judd, or psychiatrist if you wish, Judd Marmer. Marmer, who advocated against the view that homosexuality is an illness, thought it was Saz who was the first to express these ideas. Then we have a couple of citations here from a book, not necessarily important for this, because Saz did not, as the article is continuing now, because Saz did not limit his argument to homosexuality, he asserted that mental illness in general is merely a metaphor. And because he remains perhaps the most controversial figure in the history of psychiatry, why wouldn't he be? All he did was say the whole field was bullshit. His position on homosexuality is often ignored. Instead, others are credited with spearheading psychiatry's removal of homosexuality from DSM. Yet we must give credit where credit is due. Thomas Saz was the first American psychiatrist to speak out publicly against the classification of homosexuality as a mental disorder. And when historians of psychiatry look back 100 years from now, it may be Saz's rejection of the disease concept of homosexuality for which he will be most remembered. Interesting how they pivoted. They went into more of a biography of Thomas Saz. But did you hear it? Because I didn't. I didn't hear it. That's just interesting, right? I heard that, where was it? It said great external pressure. Under great external pressure, they removed it. No study. No finding. No. So we don't know. Is literally where we are. Anyway, chew on that. But I want to talk to you about the strange silence coming from LeBron James, the resident wokey woke social justice, social activist, had nothing to say. I was actually on his Twitter page earlier. I really don't want to go back there because I just feel like I get dumber when I'm on there. But here we go. We'll go back and see if he's tweeted anything so I can be upfront and honest with you. We're going to look here. We're going to punch in LeBum James. And nope, nothing. There's a stick to sports where he's trying to do a little reversal on somebody who is probably his political opponent. There's an ESPN puff piece of him when he had the mask. Nothing about... Oh, wait a minute. There is something about him in China. He just launched a new pair of shoes. He's walking to the court with his green and orange... These shoes are hideous. He's walking to the court with his green and orange shoes. This looks like somebody put a grenade in Michelangelo, the Ninja Turtle, and blew him up and turned him into shoes. This is awful. Anyway, we're done with this. LeBron has had nothing to say. Joe Biden has had nothing to say. I wonder if Don Lemon or Rachel Maddow will say something. Surely they'll say something, right? Doubtful. Maybe Maddow, because she's on, the Peripheral show. That's interesting, right? Steve Kerr? No, nothing. Mr. Social Justice? Mark Cuban? Nothing? No? Uyghur Muslims? Genocide? No, nothing? Okay. Homosexuality? Mental illness? Nothing? Okay. Well, there you have it. And that's predictable. And that is absolutely predictable because, again, as I've said in the past, and I will continue to say, these people don't care about anything other than themselves, their interest in that moment. They'll say anything to anybody at any time to get what they want. Situational morals, people, is what I call it. Situational. You can just turn them on, turn them off whenever you need them. Anyhow, I think that is where we will end it today, folks. I appreciate you all tuning in. And, hey, China is, you can say this about China. I'll say this and then we'll roll out. They really don't give a shit what the rest of the world thinks. And maybe that's a page we might take out of their book. They really don't give a shit what the rest of the world thinks. They do what they do. They do what they think is best for China first, and everybody else can go fly a kite. Anyway, that's what I've got for you all today. So until the next time, see you later.